Now we want to turn to a war that's being waged by the wealthy. Billionaires with millions of dollars to give are battling over bragging rights over who can give away the most money.
The prize, as ABC 7 News reporter Leanne Melendez explains, is what some of them are getting in return.
This has been brewing for a while now. So beware of philanthropists who want control in exchange for their giving. Not our words, but those of Laurene Powell Jobs. Now, we know that people like the Rockefellers, Andrew Carnegie, and now a newer generation of philanthropists have set aside millions to fund important causes, and sometimes name recognition is part of the deal. But the argument that Powell Jobs makes is that, quote, we are living in a moment when giving is too often used not to serve, but to control.
If you have the money, you can get things done in San Francisco.
We must ask this question. What is truly important to us?
In 2023, Salesforce CEO and philanthropist Mark Benioff complained about crime, homelessness, and drugs in San Francisco, even threatening to move the Dreamforce conference to Las Vegas. The city panicked.
So my pushback is, that San Francisco is changing. Things are getting better.
Nonetheless, the city moved at lightning speed to appease Benioff, much to his satisfaction.
Why can San Francisco not be like this every single day?
Then most recently, Benioff suggested that President Trump send the National Guard to San Francisco. He has since apologized after facing criticism, claiming, quote, no one has given more to San Francisco. That's when philanthropist Laurene Powell Jobs decided it was time to speak out. Jobs told the Wall Street Journal, quote, that's the quiet corruption corroding modern philanthropy, the ability to give as a license to impose one's will. It's a kind of moral laundering where so-called benevolence masks self-interest. 10 years ago, Steve Heilig of the San Francisco Medical Society wrote an op-ed piece about adding the name Zuckerberg to San Francisco General Hospital.
That's seen as meddling often now, and the more current trend in philanthropy is hands off. Give the money to people you believe in and what they're doing, and let them do it.
Let's examine more closely how some of the region's biggest donors stack up. Jobs Foundation, Emerson Collective, focuses on driving social change with no naming rights or public recognition attached. Mackenzie Scott has given Bay Area nonprofits large grants with, in her words, no strings attached. On the other hand, Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan donated $75 million towards the San Francisco General Hospital expansion in 2015. It was the largest single private gift to a public hospital in the U.S. Chan did her pediatric residency at General.
That gift happened as a result of her deep alignment, and that it was very much she'd worked with both the patients and the staff here, so she could see the importance of investing in public health and having a new hospital.
But San Franciscans already agreed to fund the expansion, approving an $887 million bond to rebuild the hospital.
The people of San Francisco voted for $800 million in bonds that are being paid for by every property owner, by every tenant, and all of a sudden, Mark Zuckerberg comes along with a handful of dollars and ends up with his name on the People's Building.
Since then, voters approved another $222 million for improvements to the hospital. In the end, the Zuckerberg's donation was less than 10% of the total cost. Adding the name Zuckerberg to the hospital was controversial then and now.
People did not want to speak out.
Do you think it was because, we're going to sound ungrateful?
Yes, part of that. And partly because some people just don't like Facebook or whatever it is, too, I mean, the evidence was coming out then that some of the social media was really bad for young people in particular.
There are 10 ayes and 1 no, with Supervisor Yee in the dissent.
In 2020, the Board of Supervisors voted 10-1 to condemn the renaming of the hospital. It was just a symbolic vote. Benioff has also been a champion of San Francisco and Oakland schools, donating millions to fund education. No public schools are named after him. After donating $100 million to build a new children's hospital in Mission Bay, Benioff insisted that his name not be included, but UCSF convinced him to add the name, believing it would encourage other big donors.
What's in a name is that it attracts other investors of philanthropic investment. And so the reality is peers give to peers, people give to people.
When it comes to his company, Salesforce, Benioff has been highly effective in promoting the company's brand. Not only is the tower that Salesforce rents and bears its name the tallest building in the city, but in 2017, Salesforce agreed to pay $110 million over 25 years for naming rights to the transit center. They get little from the deal, but did make some demands about how the area around the tower and center operated and was landscaped. Keep in mind, the Salesforce Transit Center with its rooftop park was funded largely with public dollars. Jane Kim was a supervisor during that period.
At the time, Salesforce wanted some unilateral say over park hours, which seems like, a pretty minutia issue. Except that if you start to let one entity, because they give some private dollars, to make unilateral decisions over park hours, then what else can they make decisions about? Especially when the majority of the funds came from taxpayers themselves.
Kim protested, but in the end, the Transbay Joint Powers Authority sided with Salesforce.
I think that San Francisco should lead this country in reminding everybody that our public buildings are not for sale. If folks with means want to participate philanthropically, they should do so with real charitable intent.
We reached out to both the Benioff and Zuckerberg camps to respond to Powell Jobs' criticism, but they never responded. Now, I don't have billions to give. I sometimes give. And I'm human. I'd like to see my name on that brochure as a donor. Now, to me, the real heroes and people who are commendable are the ones who say, give thousands and probably millions and say, anonymous.
Exactly.